En ces circonstances, le président n'a qu'une possibilité, convoquer de nouvelles élections et laisser le pays choisir, et s'il le décide, de choisir une majorité d'alternance. S'il s'implique dans la campagne, s'il sort de son rôle d'arbitre pour devenir joueur, il accepte par avance d'en assumer les conséquences politiques en cas de défaite.
This is my video update on this Tuesday midday, September the 9th, coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the situation in France. The Bayrou government has indeed collapsed. The vote for the Bayrou government, the no confidence vote that Bayrou called, resulted in 364 votes against Bayrou. They needed 288 votes to collapse the Bayrou government for the no confidence vote to pass, and they got 364 votes. That's a huge difference. 288 was what was needed, and they got 364. A national rally on the right voted to do away with Prime Minister Bayrou and his government, as did the left's New Popular Front. So the left and the right, they joined forces to oust Bayrou, Macron's prime minister. I believe this is Macron's 6th or 9th prime minister that he's gone through since he's been president. It's either 6 or 9. But man, Macron's in big trouble. But he's still there. He is still prime minister. At the end of the day, that's the news. That's the headline. Another Macron government collapses, but little Napoleon is still president, man. With 15% popularity, he remains president of France. Even though Le Pen, in her speech yesterday, she called for elections, because if there were elections, her party would win. So Macron's options are either call those elections and he can exit the political scene once and for all. Finally, Macron would exit the political scene, and no doubt he would get a very, very high position somewhere in the globalist architecture. Who knows, maybe he will be tapped to replace Ursula as European Commissioner. Macron in as European Commissioner, and Ursula transitions to the presidency of Germany, right? Someone in our Duran community during a live stream actually presented that option, and it's very plausible. The other thing that Macron could do is that he could appoint a prime minister from the left, from the New Popular Front. That's another option that he may take. So we'll see what Macron does. The situation in France is really bad. This is from DW. The economic situation and the political situation in France is really, really bad. From the German DW, they have an article with the title, "Could France's economic turmoil spark Eurozone debt crisis?" And in this article, they actually give a breakdown of France's economic difficulties. And this is what DW says. Economically, it's about money, and France is towering debt burden. In absolute terms, no EU country holds more consolidated national debt than France. Sovereign debt has climbed to around 3.35 trillion euros, about 113% of gross domestic product, with the figure expected to rise further to 125% by 2030. Europe's debt king, France's debt to GDP ratio, is so high that within the European Union, only Greece and Italy surpass it, with a budget deficit of 5.4% to 5.8% this year. Paris also runs the largest budget shortfall in the 27-nation EU. To meet the EU's target of reducing the deficit to 3%, drastic savings are unavoidable. So there are going to be protests on September the 10th because of the unavoidable drastic cuts, which are going to hit workers, unions, pensions, social spending, and social services. And how much money has Macron, his administration, given to Project Ukraine over the past 4 years? How many tens of billions of euros has Macron flushed down the toilet in his obsession with Zelensky and Project Ukraine? Money that France did not have to give. So the situation in France is really bad, but Macron is still there. He is still there with his 15% approval rating. I hear something. 1 second. I hear something. There he is. I knew you were there because I could hear you. I don't know if you guys can see the turtle right there, or the tortoise. There you are. It's just chilling out. And I could hear you walking around. Anyway, we will let him relax, or let her relax, on this Tuesday afternoon. And let's get back to some news. So that's the situation in France. And since we're talking about Project Ukraine, the Financial Times, they are reporting that Ukraine battles air defense shortage as Pentagon slows shipments. Moscow has stepped up attacks during Trump's attempts to broker a peace deal, heaping pressure on Kiev's stocks. Yeah, the Financial Times is saying that the Pentagon, or the Department of War, if you want to call them that now, the Department of War has been slowing down its air defense weapons, its air defense shipments to Ukraine. And the Europeans, according to the Financial Times, who promised that they would purchase air defense systems and weapons from the United States and give them over to Project Ukraine, they have not been coming through for the Zelensky regime, and this is putting pressure on the Ukraine military. And this is all coming at a time when, according to the Financial Times, the Russians are advancing. That is what the Financial Times is saying. The Russians are advancing, and they are increasing their drone strikes into Ukraine. And so the reason that this is happening, which is something the Financial Times is not saying in this article, is because the United States does not have the air defense systems to give. If they had the air defense systems to give, they would give them, but they don't have them to give. And whatever air defense systems they do have, they're probably saving them for the inevitable second round conflict with Iran, right? Whatever weapons and air defense systems the U.S. has, they are going to first allocate them to Israel, and then, if they have any systems left, they will give them to Ukraine. But they don't have any systems left. The United States is actually going to various allies, like Saudi Arabia, for example, and they're asking if Saudi Arabia has any Patriot systems that they can hand over to Ukraine. But countries like Saudi Arabia, they don't want to give up their Patriot air defense systems because the waiting list is a 7-year waiting list for new Patriot air defense systems. And the Europeans, well, they've been demilitarized, deindustrialized, and demilitarized, and they don't really have any Patriot systems to hand over to Project Ukraine. And even though they said that they'd buy those systems from the United States, sure, you can buy the systems, but if you don't have them, you just don't have them. And so this is causing all kinds of problems for the Ukraine military. And that's the situation, man. That is the situation. What is the Financial Times saying here? Ukraine is at risk of shortages of air defense weapons after a U.S. Defense Department review of military aid resulted in slower deliveries just as Moscow intensifies air attacks, according to Western and Ukrainian officials. Russian forces on Sunday launched the largest mass aerial attack on Ukraine since their full-scale invasion, firing 805 Shahed attack drones and decoy drones and 13 cruise and ballistic missiles, killing 4 people. The waves of missile and drone assaults have come while Russian troops were advancing on the ground towards strategically important cities in eastern Ukraine. Strategically important cities. The Russians advancing, firing 805 Shahed drones. That's the situation that the Financial Times is reporting. The Russians are going to capture Kupiansk very soon. That's the way it looks. The reports are that the Russian military is operating in the city center of Kupiansk, and we are also getting reports that the Russian military is also in parts of the city center of Pokrovsk, 2 major cities for the Ukraine defense line, the defensive belt that they've set up in the Donbass, which will be captured by the Russians. And that is going to be a catastrophe for the Zelensky regime. And as the Financial Times describes it, these are strategically important cities, because you're going to get the narrative when those cities are set to fall. You're going to start getting the narrative that these are not strategically important cities, but here you have the Financial Times saying that they are strategically important cities. So the situation for the Zelensky regime is very, very bad on the front lines, and the United States and Europe, they don't have the weapons to give to Ukraine. They don't have enough weapons to prevent the Russian advance, whether it's from the missiles or the drones or the troops advancing on the ground. The Russians have an overwhelming advantage over Ukraine, and it's getting worse and worse with each passing day. Actually, Syrskyi, he said in an interview yesterday that the Russians hold a 3-to-1 advantage when it comes to forces on the ground. A 3-to-1 advantage. And I don't think he's counting the hundreds of thousands of Russian troops that are being held in reserve. I think he's just counting the forces that are now operating in the region, actively operating in the region. So that's the Financial Times. And sticking with Project Ukraine, should we talk about Mr. Kuleba and what he said to the Italian publication Corriere della Sera? And Mr. Kuleba, in this interview, he said that he had to exit Ukraine, flee Ukraine, and I quote, like a thief in the night. His words, not mine. Ex-foreign minister claims Zelensky forced him to secretly flee Ukraine. Dmitry Kuleba has said he had to escape the country like a thief in the night. And so Zelensky, he put a ban on Ukraine government officials and diplomats from leaving the country. And hours before this ban was enforced, hours, this is what Kuleba says, hours before the ban came into force, he bolted. And I think now he's in Krakow, Poland. That's where he's hanging out. The Ukraine Foreign Ministry, they put out a statement following Kuleba's interview with the Italian publication. And they claim that the Italian publication did not understand what Kuleba was saying, and they misinterpreted his words. And Kuleba is going to return to Ukraine. He has not left the country for good. But I don't know, how do you misinterpret having to flee Ukraine like a thief in the night? Like a thief in the night. What are you saying, Kuleba, when you say like a thief in the night? A thief is someone who steals, right? That's what a thief is. So you fled Ukraine like someone who steals in the night. Kuleba's words, not mine. Kuleba said, the truth is that Zelensky and his entourage do not want us to go abroad and say things that, in their opinion, may contradict the government narrative, he claimed, adding that he personally, in general, tends to defend Kiev's actions during his overseas trips. Kuleba blamed the latest measure taken against the ex-diplomats on the purported Soviet mentality still persisting in certain palace circles. Kuleba is also a Harvard fellow, whatever that means. I'm not even sure I know what that means, but he's part of the whole Harvard circle of globalist elites. He got that gig immediately after he resigned as foreign minister. So they are jumping ship, man. Kuleba's not going to be the first high-profile, high-level, current or former Zelensky diplomat or government official to bail on Project Ukraine. He's not going to be the first. He's not the first. He's not going to be the last. And Zelensky is trying to prevent this from happening, right? He doesn't want these guys leaving the country and giving interviews and talking about the situation in Ukraine and how incompetent and bad Zelensky was as a president, because that's what they're going to say. As Ukraine continues to collapse, all of these guys like Kuleba are going to give interviews and say, you know what? I advised Zelensky to do this, but he did the opposite, and that is why the war is lost. And they're gonna throw Zelensky under the bus, and that's the last thing that Zelensky wants to see happen, right? Think of Arestovich, who was his BFF, his best buddy, and now he's Zelensky's arch rival, his nemesis, Arestovich. So anyway, that is the comment from Kuleba. And BlackRock Mertz, he gave an interview yesterday, and he said that Russia's imperialist plan, that's a quote, is only now beginning. A German chancellor talking about Russia's imperialist plan. Okay, BlackRock, Mertz, Russia's imperialist plan. And Mertz is saying that after Ukraine, Russia's going to move to conquer other countries in Europe. This is coming from a German chancellor, BlackRock Mertz, talking about how it is Russia's plan to conquer Europe after it's done conquering Ukraine. BlackRock Mertz also talked about spheres of influence, and he talked about how the European Union and Europe, they have to forge ahead to create their own sphere of influence. A sphere of influence, according to BlackRock Mertz, that is not nostalgic and is not looking to be dependent on the United States. Yeah, good luck with that. BlackRock, Mertz, you guys are vassals to the United States. I don't think Mertz has understood what's going on. When we're talking about spheres of influence, Mr. Mertz, we're talking about Europe being part of the U.S. sphere of influence. That is why you guys are vassals, because you guys are going to be under the United States, underneath their sphere of influence. Europe is not going to create their own sphere of influence. Nope. You're folding right under the U.S.'s sphere of influence. Like it or not. I like it. I like it a lot. That's what Trump's saying. Europe in our sphere of influence. I like it. Anyway, Mertz also said, get this quote from BlackRock Mertz. This is incredible. He said, we are experiencing daily and with increasing intensity hybrid Russian attacks, including on our infrastructure, Mertz said, adding that Moscow has repeatedly staged provocations in the Baltic and North Seas. Wow. Hybrid attacks, daily hybrid attacks on German infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. Is that what's going on, Mertz? Man, that sounds serious. Attacks on German infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. It sounds like an Article 5 scenario, huh? Who would be attacking German infrastructure in the Baltic Sea? Mertz claims it's Russia. Russian daily hybrid attacks on German infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. You know, there's a precedent, actually. There has been an attack on German infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. It happened in September of 2022. Who did that one, Mertz? Who did that one? I don't know. But anyway. BlackRock Mertz. I don't think he's heard of Nord Stream, has he? Has he been updated on what's going on with Nord Stream? Maybe he hasn't been updated by German investigators. If he has been updated, then my question is, how come you're not contacting London to maybe talk to the Ukraine ambassador to London? Maybe you want to question that guy. Anyway, that is Mertz. The European Commission, they're preparing their State of the Union address. I can't wait. It might be today. Maybe it's today or maybe it's tomorrow. I'm not sure when the address is going to take place, but this is the annual European Commission State of the Union address. This is the speech that is famous for Ursula tatters, right? That is the speech where Ursula said, Russia's economy is in tatters. Tatters. Yeah, I can't wait for this State of the Union, Ursula speech. I can't wait. What will she say? Well, according to Politico, they've gotten a peek at the speech. They've gotten a sneak preview of Ursula's upcoming speech. And according to Politico, Ursula is going to say, now this could change, Politico said this could change, but according to what they've seen, Ursula and the European Union, they are going to announce that the rules-based world order is dead. EU to concede. A return to the previous status quo seems unlikely, EU executive concludes in first year of Trump's second term as US president. That's what her speech is going to be about, according to Politico. Once again, this could change. The speech could change. But right now, it looks like Ursula's speech is going to be focused on the end of the rules-based world order. Tatters. The rules-based world order is in tatters. Tatters, I tell you. Yeah, and they're going to blame it on Trump and Putin. Right? it's Trump's fault that the rules-based world order has come to an end. No, it's Putin's fault. No, it's Trump's fault. Oh boy. So looking forward to that speech. We're going to get a lot of good clown worlds from that one. Should we talk about what's going on in Nepal? I have not been following this story, but there were protests in Nepal. I think the protests are still going on, but it looks like the government has backtracked, and the protesters, at least this round, have won. And so my understanding of things is that the government in Nepal, they wanted social media companies, the big tech social media sites, to comply with local law, and they didn't want to, or they got various NGOs and student activist groups to go out onto the streets in order to protest. And then I believe the government in Nepal was threatening to ban the social networks because they were refusing to comply with local laws. And now they've backtracked, and they said that they're not going to force the social media companies to comply with laws, and they're not going to ban the social media networks if they do not comply with the laws. And so the protesters, it looks like they got what they wanted. These protests were violent, from what I understand. 19 people died, and 300 were injured. And they're calling the protest a Gen Z led protest in Nepal. They stormed the parliament building. They chanted, "Shut down corruption, not social media." This is a post from Brian Berletic. US-funded fake rights groups condemn Nepal for demanding foreign social media platforms follow Nepal's laws. CPJ, another US-funded front involved in interference abroad, demands Nepal allow Western social media platforms operate with impunity within Nepal's information space. The ban is only for social media companies refusing to register in Nepal to operate in its information space and follow local laws, as the US and Europe demand foreign platforms do. Once they register and if they follow local laws, they can continue operating. Yeah, the interesting part about these laws, it reminds me of the foreign agents law in Georgia, right? And the protests for that. The EU, Europe, and the United States, they have similar laws, right? Social media companies, they have to comply with US law. They have to comply with EU law. I'm thinking about the Digital Service Act or whatever it's called. This is common for Europe and for the United States. But when other countries want to impose similar laws, that's when you get protests, right? The same thing with the Foreign Agents Act in Georgia. The United States has a foreign agents law. Europe has foreign agents laws. But when Georgia decides that they would like to put a foreign agents law into place, then you get big protests, right? Funny how that happens. Anyway, for now, it looks like the protesters got their way, and there will be no social media platform laws that will take effect in Nepal. So let's get into one of the big stories for today, which has to do with the Trump birthday letter to Epstein. I talked about this story when I was in Moscow. I remember this story. There was a birthday book that was given to Epstein. I believe the book was given to him around 2002 or 2005. Anyway, it was this birthday book that Epstein got from his friends and associates, and they wished him a happy birthday. And some of them drew pictures and wrote certain birthday wishes or poems or stuff like that. And the book surfaced about a month or 2 months ago. And the Wall Street Journal, they're the ones that first reported on this birthday book. And in the book was a message and a drawing allegedly done by Donald J. Trump. And now we actually have the drawing and the message. We actually have a picture of what Donald Trump drew and what he wrote, and allegedly what he signed in his birthday wish to Epstein. I'll put it up on the screen. I'll put a little bit of it up on the screen so you could take a look. I'll also post the signature of Trump so you can see it. Allegedly, this is Donald Trump's signature, at least his first name. And a lot of people are talking about the signature. The Trump White House says this is BS. The Democrats published this page from the book, this note from the book, and the Democrats are saying this is complete nonsense. Carolyn Levitt said the latest piece published by the Wall Street Journal proves this entire birthday card story is false. As I have said all along, it's very clear President Trump did not draw this picture, and he did not sign it. President Trump's legal team will continue to aggressively pursue litigation. Furthermore, the reporter at Joe Palazzolo, who wrote this hatchet job, reached out for comment at the exact same minute he published his story, giving us no time to respond. This is fake news to perpetuate the Democrat Epstein hoax. Yeah, the media does that all the time. When they're about to print a hit job on someone, what they'll do is they'll contact that person who they're writing the hit job on at the same time that it's about to be published. So they can then put in the hit job in the story that they contacted so-and-so for comment, so they can put that in there. But they do this all the time. They never give the person enough time to formulate a proper response or to respond to the hit job that's about to be run. So they do that all the freaking time. Here, Caroline Levitt is 100% right. This is a common tactic from the collective West mainstream media. J.D. Vance, he wrote, the Democrats don't care about Epstein. They don't even care about his victims. That's why they were silent about it for years. The only thing they care about is concocting another fake scandal like Russiagate to smear President Trump with lies. No one is falling for this BS. So look, the New York Times, they are studying the signature, and they're trying to figure out if this is indeed Donald Trump's signature at the bottom of this note and this picture, or if it's fake. The White House is saying this is fake. This is BS. The New York Times, they did a study of the signature, and they posted, Trump says it's not his signature, but personal letters look similar. Donald Trump's signature has evolved over the years, but when signing just his first name, he often includes the same flourish at the end. So I'm going to post the 4 signatures that the New York Times published. The signature, the first signature on the top, if you're looking at it from your screen on the top left, as you're looking at the screen, that's the one that is taken from the Epstein birthday picture. And then the other 3 signatures that the New York Times published are from archives of letters that Trump sent and signed to Rudy Giuliani. And it's just his first name. According to the New York Times, there was a point in time when Trump was not adding his last name, at least to personal notes. He would never write his last name. He would only write his first name. And according to the New York Times, Trump was always using this long tail at the end of his first name. And that's how you can tell it was his signature, according to the New York Times. So take a look at the 4 signatures. Let me know what you think. I don't know. I look at the 4 signatures, and my opinion on this is that the 3 signatures, I'm not a signature expert, but I will tell you that I have looked at quite a lot of signatures when I look at at art and paintings, because you'll see a signature from an artist and you want to try and match it. So I'm no expert, but in my very, very amateur and limited experience of looking at signatures, I don't know. The three signatures from Giuliani definitely look alike, without a doubt. But the one from the birthday card, it matches, but something feels off about it. That's just my own opinion on this. Once again, I think experts need to study the signature, and I'm sure that when experts do study the signature, you're going to get mixed conclusions, right? You're going to get some experts who are going to say this is Trump's signature, no doubt about it, and then you're going to get other experts who are going to say this is not Trump's signature, right? I imagine you're going to get both sides of this. So anyway, that is the story with the Epstein birthday note and the signature. And let's get into some clown world territory, and we can wrap up this video on this Tuesday in Athens. So, clown world, what do we got? How about Mr. Navarro? Peter Navarro, not Dave Navarro, of Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers fame. Jane's Addiction. What a fantastic band that was. The guitarist, Mr. Navarro. So we're talking about, got some mushrooms, huh? We're talking about Peter Navarro, who is Trump's trade advisor. And he's still stuck on India, man. And he's stuck on brick, not bricks. He's focused now on brick. According to Navarro, India, Russia, China, brick are like vampires. He says that he sees the BRIC alliance not lasting long. He says they all hate each other. That's what Navarro says. They all hate each other. He says they're all killing each other. They're vampires sucking on the U.S., sucking the U.S. dry, according to Navarro, and he refers to them as BRIC, not BRICS, because Spain left. Spain, the S in BRICS, according to Trump, right? According to Trump, Spain was the S in BRICS. Remember that one? Yeah. Anyway, it's now BRIC. BRIC are vampires, according to Navarro. They're just a bunch of vampires sucking the U.S. dry, and they're not going to last.
The bottom line is none of these countries can survive if they don't sell to the United States. And when they sell to the United States, their exports, they're like vampires sucking our blood dry with their unfair trade practices. So, look, let's see what happens, but I don't see how the BRIC alliance stays together, since historically they all hate each other and kill each other.
So if they're not going to last, why are you so upset, man? Why are you so worried, dude? If they're not going to last, then forget about it, man, right? Forget about it. Why are you stressing, Mr. Navarro? Anyway, that was Navarro's latest rant. The Trump administration, the Trump White House, uniting BRICS. The Trump White House brings BRICS together. That's a good one. Trump White House, bringing BRICS together. Yeah, I like it. Make BRICS great again. All right. In the All In podcast, they had a live event, I guess. And the All In group, they had as guests Tucker Carlson and billionaire Mark Cuban. Shark Tank billionaire Mark Cuban was also there. And they brought up the subject of Project Ukraine. And then I think Tucker Carlson, well, I think David Sachs asked Mark Cuban if the U.S. should give more money to Ukraine. That's what he asked him. Should the U.S. continue to give money to Project Ukraine? And I believe Cuban's response was pretty much, yeah, things are really bad there, but sure, they should continue to fund Project Ukraine. I believe that's what he said. But the main part of this segment is that Tucker Carlson, he asked Cuban how much money, because Cuban said that half of his family is from Ukraine, like his grandfather or his grandmother's side of the family is from Ukraine. And Tucker Carlson then asked Cuban, how much money have you given to Ukraine? Have you given $1 billion, or how come you don't give $1 billion to Ukraine? And that just completely shut down Cuban. That's right. Mark Cuban, billionaire Mark Cuban, we should continue to help Ukraine. Tucker, how much money have you sent? Cuban, none. Yeah. Let me play the video. Hopefully I don't get any kind of copyright strike or anything like that. But maybe I'll speed up the audio. So here's the exchange between Tucker Carlson and Cuban.
Mark, let me ask you a question. What's your take on whether we should be sending money to Ukraine or not? Were you in favor of that?
When they need it.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a good answer. You know, I can make an argument both ways, and half my family's Ukrainian from my grandparents. And so, you know, personally, I think we should help, but I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Why don't you fix their healthcare if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity.
Here's the
it's
good
vanity.
news. The good news is all the weapons were on loan lease. We're getting it back. And our dear president, Trump, has negotiated that we own half the minerals. So he turned this horrible tragic war into a profit center, which is one of his unique gifts. I think we can all agree.
Let's do one more clown world. And this one focuses on the king of all clowns, Mr. Boris Johnson. And The Guardian is reporting that Boris Johnson, this is coming from The Guardian, Boris Johnson traded PM contacts for global business deal. Exclusive. Leak exposes how former leader has used publicly subsidized office to manage commercial interests. Boris. What have you been up to? According to The Guardian, you've been up to all kinds of no good. So what is The Guardian saying here? Let me read you some of the deals that Boris allegedly has been up to. And this is, once again, not coming from me. This is coming from The Guardian. They have seen and read and gone over this leak, this document leak of Boris's business dealings. And here is what The Guardian is saying. Let me get in the shade here, and I'll read you what the Guardian is reporting. Johnson lobbied a senior Saudi official he had met while in office, asking him to share a pitch with the petrostate's autocratic crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, for a firm he co-chairs. The ex-PM received more than £200,000 from a hedge fund after meeting Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, contrary to statements he was not paid. And while in office, Johnson appears to have held a secret meeting with Peter Thiel, the billionaire who founded the controversial U.S. data firm Palantir, months before it was given a role managing NHS data. That's just a small list of some of the business dealings allegedly done by the former Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, according to The Guardian. So definitely check out that article. And I will end this video for today. theduran.locals.com. We're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on Telegram. And definitely check out the Duran shop. Link in the description box down below. Pick up one of our new Duran shirts. They're pretty cool. I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.